in common PHP structures, we can also use them to build and maintain layouts in Laravel. Most web applications have the same generic layout across various pages like header, navigation bar, sidebar, and footer. Blade provides two methods for creating layouts by reusing code. First is by using template inheritance, second is by using Blade components. Let's look at template inheritance first. Consider this web page with a nav bar and a main section. The code for the same can be found in home.blade.php. I will quickly access and open files using the keyboard shortcut Command P. So it gives me this place to search for the file. I can quickly search and open. So this entire markup is currently in home.blade.php. But if we need another view like an about page with the similar navbar and content section, repeating this entire code is not a good idea. So let's create a layouts folder. Within views, new folder, layouts, add a file called base.blade.php. Copy all the code from home.blade.php into the base file. I will close the file explorer for now. Now let's retain all the common structure. The content that would change is here, right? So let me cut it out and paste it in home.blade.php. Right? We need to define this as a section using the section directive. Section, and we can call it whatever we want. So let me call this content. This has to end with an end section blade directive. And now this is our view. We need to specify the layout this view needs to inherit, which can be done using the extends blade directive. And here you can give the relative path to that layout, which is in our layouts folder. So you could say layouts/blade, or you could even say layouts.base. And now in the layouts file, in the place you wish to display the content, use the yield directive, yield, and then specify the name given to the section. We called it content. So content it is. So this will be replaced with the content from our blade view. You can go to the browser and verify, refresh, everything still looks the same. Now in the nav bar, let's say you want to get the user's name from the view. So replace this here, go to the nav bar and replace this with yield name. And now this name we might want to specify from the view. So here you can say, you can add another section directive, call it name, and pass in whatever value you want to. So let's say I'll put my name here and now go to the browser and refresh. Notice that the variable has been replaced with the name. All of this makes it easy to add multiple views following the same base layout. So if you want to try this out, let's create another view, call it about.blade.php. Let's extend the same base layout, layouts.base. And here in the content, let's add something else. End section, let's add a heading and let's simply say about us. Or you can even copy the styling from here, just change the text to about us. And now we need a view to show this. So go to the web.php routes. We can remove this from here. Copy this route, paste it again, change it to about, change the view also to about. In the browser, let's go to the about route and notice that the navbar remains the same. Of course, we need to pass in the user variable here as well. So we can do that. Copy this section here, paste it here, and now we have two different views, about us and home, following the similar layout. So if you wish to change anything in the layout, maybe the color of the navbar or something, you can do that right here in one single place, which is the base layout. Next, let's look at building layouts using Blade components. We'll only cover the basic concept in this video. This time, let's create a components folder inside views, similar to layouts. Let's call it components. The same base.blade.php file, copy this entire thing, or you can copy it into the components folder like so. Replace the yield directives with simple variables like within curly braces like this. So name and content. Now in the home view, replace the extents directive with an x base tag. This also has to be the closing x base tag. Let me put it here. Notice that we don't even have to say layouts or components or anything, because when we use Blade components, all the files, all the components go in here. So the moment you prefix it with x hyphen, it takes in the name from here. This looks very consistent with the markup as compared to the Blade directives. Instead of sections here, we use the x slot tags. So you can say x slot and use the name attribute to specify the name of this. So in our case, it will be name again, and the content of the name goes here. This again will be replaced by x slot, and here the name is content, and this closes with an x slot closing tag. View this in the browser to verify. Let's go to the home route and notice that nothing has changed. We can have multiple nested components and multiple slots this way. And this is the most common method followed by Laravel developers right now. So further in the course, we will use Blade components method for our layouts and learn more as we go. Looking at our routes once again, for this request, the only action is returning a view. Hence, adding it as a closure makes sense. But this is not always the case. We usually have a lot of logic that goes on for every request. For example, a login request will contain the logic to check if the user's credentials match, to log the user in, or to return an error message, and more. We use controllers to group related logic into a single class. By default, controllers are stored within the app HTTP controllers directory. This is just a default controller created by Laravel for you. Now let's create a new controller using the artisan command php artisan make controller. Now in the older versions, you had to pass more parameters here in this command to create controllers or models, but in the newer version, you can simply do this and hit enter. You will be prompted asking what the name of your controller should be. And as you can see in the example, this is the convention used by Laravel. It has to follow camel case like this. So let's create a new controller, calling it welcome controller. And it asks us what type of controller would you like. For now, since we don't know what the others are, let's just click empty. And the controller has been created for us successfully. Like I said, within the app HTTP controllers directory, you can command click and open this directly. As you can see, it is here. We can of course create this file manually and add all of this code, but using a command is quicker. Now let's add a method index using public function index. And here let's return the welcome view using return view welcome. Go back to the routes file. Now this closure can be replaced with the action, which is the index action in the controller like so. Welcome controller dot class, and the index action goes as the second parameter like so. And when I typed welcome controller, you might have noticed this use statement got added automatically. This is taken care of by the VS Code extension PHP IntelliSense. It's installed here already for you, so you don't have to worry. Now save this file, save both the files, go to the browser and refresh. Everything works just the same. Instead of returning the view directly here, we went through the welcome controller using an index file. So now we can add more logic into here whenever we need. So we just created our first controller and defined our route to it. At the end of most chapters in this course, I've added a quick challenge so you can reinforce whatever you've learned so far. At any point while solving it, if you realize you haven't got your concepts clear, you can always go back to the relevant video and relearn before you've progressed a lot more in the course. Each challenge in the course is explained in a video like this one. You need to first switch to the correct branch in code spaces. The challenge branches are named like 01 challenge, 02 challenge, and so on, starting with the chapter number you're currently in. So for this challenge, you need to switch to 01 challenge and start here. Once you've completed the challenge, you can watch the next video where I show you how I would solve it. That way, you can compare your solution with mine. Alright, so here's the first challenge. Create a blade file with a simple paragraph hello world. Then create a controller called greeting controller with an index method that renders this blade view you just created. And then create a